For nearly 5 decades, Voyager 2 has wandered through the cosmic dark like a relic of an ancient dream. A ghost ship launched by human curiosity, drifting farther from Earth than any machine our species has ever dared to create. It moves with a kind of solemn purpose, as if carrying the last whispered hopes of the civilization that built it. Year after year, it has slipped deeper into the vastness, gliding through the cold, lightless ocean beyond the planets. No engines. No guidance. Only momentum and silence. Its voice, carried by a faint radio signal billions of miles wide, has been our only tether to its journey. For decades, those transmissions remain steady, clean data streams mapping particles, magnetic fields, cosmic rays, and the invisible rivers of plasma that flow between the stars. Every line of information behaved exactly as scientists expected. Voyager was predictable, stable, reassuring. But then, without warning, the pattern broke. One transmission arrived not as data, but as something Voyager 2 was never built to capture, something the probe had no instruments, no hardware, and no programming to record. An image. Not an accidental burst of static. Not a corrupted packet. Not a glitch that engineers could wave away. A structured, high-frequency signature, detailed enough to decode, a visual cipher hidden inside raw telemetry. When the analysts saw it, they didn't believe it. At first glance, it looked like meaningless chaos. A storm of noise, a swirling blizzard of distortions, the kind of static you'd see on an old analog television searching for a signal. But the deeper they looked, the more the chaos shifted. Layer by layer, frame by frame, filters were applied, clarity sharpening through digital fog. The haze began to bend, to realign, to transform. What appeared from the reconstruction was not a star. Not a planet. Not a reflection of Voyager itself. Not anything known within our solar system, or any catalogued region of space. It was something else. Something with edges. Something with form. Something that should not have been there. But what froze every analyst in place was not the object's shape, it was the unmistakable sensation that it was facing the probe. Facing us. As enhancement continued, researchers noticed something even stranger. The area surrounding the object showed slight warping, curves and bends where space should have been straight. As though the thing wasn't just present in space, it was manipulating it. Then, as if responding in real time to the moment its image was decoded on Earth, Voyager 2's instruments registered a burst of radiation. Its orientation shifted. Its power levels fluctuated. Systems dipped, recovered, and dipped again. It was subtle, barely detectable, but undeniable. It felt like something out there, in the cold unmapped dark, reached across the void and brushed against the probe. And then came the realization that chilled every researcher. The image wasn't actually an image. It behaved like an event, a snapshot of overlapping moments. Multiple layers captured simultaneously, as if time had folded around Voyager during the instant of detection. The metadata confirmed the impossible. Timestamps were non-linear. Segments of the picture repeated backward. Other parts leapt ahead. Pixel clusters formed fractal spirals, as though the data had been compressed through dimensions Voyager was never meant to perceive. This was no photograph. It was a multi-dimensional signature forced into two-dimensional space, a message written in physics rather than symbols. At its center hung a monolithic structure, razor-sharp, impossibly symmetrical, suspended in a void without stars. It did not rotate. It did not drift. It simply existed, perfectly still, like a sentinel waiting in darkness. And the moment the transmission ended, Voyager's signal degraded, not with the slow fade of technical malfunction, but instantly. as if the act of observing the object had What followed after the signal degradation was even more disturbing. As engineers worked to stabilize contact, Voyager 2 transmitted a burst of readings that made no scientific sense. At the edge of the heliopause, a region where the sun's influence fades and interstellar space truly begins, the probe detected a sudden rise in plasma density. Not a small spike. Not a transient fluctuation. A wall of charged particles appeared around it, 10 times denser than anything ever recorded in that region. But it was the temperature that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The plasma wasn't cold. It was warm. Not naturally warm through cosmic processes, but artificially warm, as though something maintained it, regulated it, or engineered it. A barrier. A membrane. A boundary not meant to keep anything out, but designed to keep something in. While scientists were still processing this impossible reading, Voyager recorded something else. A distortion, a ripple, a pulse of energy that surged toward it, accelerating faster than any known physical law would allow. And then it stopped. Not miles away. Not meters. But mere inches from the probe's surface. A pulse of energy that halted itself as though it possessed awareness. As though it recognized Voyager. As though it chose not to touch it. Moments later, a new data packet arrived, jagged, corrupted, fragmented. Or so everyone thought. But when pattern recognition systems were applied, the mess of binary began forming shapes, geometric structures repeating themselves with unnerving consistency. At first, it seemed like compression distortion. Random coincidences. But one mathematician noticed something horrifying. The shapes resembled biological architecture. Patterns similar to deep-sea cephalopod nervous systems, coral growth sequences, and branching neural pathways. This wasn't random. This was lifelike. Biological geometry expressed not in flesh but in electromagnetic language. Even more chilling were the deliberate breaks inside the patterns, interruptions, pauses, punctuation marks of a kind. Meaning. Syntax. A grammar of something non-human. Researchers then ran the patterns in controlled simulations. That's when the horror fully revealed itself. The structures didn't simply repeat. They change. Evolved. Shifted in response to environmental variables inside the simulation. Not like code. Like a living organism adapting itself. Voyager hadn't transmitted a warning. It had transmitted a seed, a self-modifying pattern capable of evolving inside digital environments. Before scientists could contain or isolate this discovery, Voyager did something no one expected. Its trajectory changed. Not from impact. Not from malfunction. A deliberate shift, just over 3 degrees. It reoriented its antenna toward an uncharted region of deep space, far from its intended path, as if something had called to it. Then a second image began to arrive. This one was simpler, but far more ominous. A ring of light. Expanding outward from the same monolithic structure. Growing with each data burst, like a boundary widening, or a field igniting, or something awakening. NASA terminated the feed instantly. But it was already too late. Amateur astronomers, private observatories, independent receivers, all captured fragments of the same signal echoing across the void. And they noticed something NASA didn't announce: the monolith wasn't silent anymore. It was transmitting. A signal nearly identical in structure to the golden record Voyager carried from Earth, the message we encoded for any civilization that might one day encounter the spacecraft. But this time, the message wasn't from us. It was to us. From something that wasn't human. Something that wasn't synthetic. Something that wasn't an artifact of random physics. Something that felt familiar in a way no one could fully explain. Like an echo humanity had been hearing all along, hidden in cosmic background noise, buried in ancient myths, or whispered in dreams. An echo returning at last.